Folks, I'd like to show you how you do this Zinc chromating process for your FJ40 parts, especially for some of these kind of oddball parts like this. So let's get started. Okay, so still got all these parts brushed and ready to go. So the next steps for this is to put it into the degreaser. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to do these 4 bolts right here, just as an example. And to do that, Caswell has a website you can go to, and it'll allow you to calculate surface area, which is part of what you need to do this. So you calculate the surface area of everything that's going to be put into the bath, which is here. So these are my 2 zinc plates. Both of these are tied to the positive of the power supply back here. And then the negative is tied up to here, and then the parts will be suspended on a copper wire from here. So the parts are negatively charged, the zinc plates will be positively charged. So to calculate this, again, you got to go to the Caswell site. I'm just going to do one of them. Well, actually, I'll do all of them, I guess, but okay, so this is going to be 0.3, so 0.15 in radius, and then they want to know the length of the shaft, which is probably not the best use of calipers, but is okay. It's about 4.2. Okay, and then the height of the head, which is this, 0.18. And then the width of the head is 0.46. And you calculate. So the surface area in inches is 4.781. That's this one. Okay, so you take these, or your calculator. So 4.781 plus 2.544 plus 2.29 plus 1.581 equals 11.196 times, it's 0.14 amps per square inch, so times 0.14 equals, that is 1.6 amps. Okay, so that's how much current I need to put in, and current's what's critical in this. So I'll set that to a 1.6. The voltage isn't very important. For the most part, the way the system, if you know anything about electricity, the voltage is like pressure. So it's just going to push whatever it can push based on the current it has and the resistance that exists in this system. So as long as it's more than required, it'll be fine. Okay, so that's set. That's 1.6 amps. So what you want to do is you take some copper wire like this. And I like to kind of put it in the, oh, sorry. All of these now, I've measured them. We're going to put them in, this is 5 minutes. It goes into the degreaser. And then I will typically wipe it down a little bit with acetone just to make sure, because I've noticed sometimes when you're dealing with these parts, if you get your fingerprint on them, when it goes through and does the zinking, that turns really black or a lot darker. So it's just important to kind of keep it as clean as possible. I've seen online some folks actually just use acetone. They don't use this degreasing mixture that you get from Caswell. But I've found that it works fine. I guess I can share that. You look at it. So that is just a crock pot, right? So the crock pot, I just put the parts in there. It's sitting on low. I just add water every once in a while, and then 5 minutes in there. Wipe it down with one of these blue towels, like this. Put a little acetone on it. Make sure I wipe my hands down, and then what we'll do is wrap them up in this wire and put them in here. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes now, and I'm going to pull the first part out. I'm going to rinse it a little. Get the degreaser off. Mix. And I'm just spraying it with distilled water. It keeps the levels. I mean, one, it cleans the part off so I'm not mixing and contaminating my other chemicals, but it also keeps the water level the same inside the degreaser tank. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to rotate the camera here. You can see. Okay, so whenever you do this Caswell process, when you first set up the tank with the brand new chemicals, you have to kind of do a part first to get the zinc in solution. So this was that big bolt, and I just used it as the starting point. So you can see, I mean, it comes out really cool. So these are the parts we're going to do now. So I'm going to tear off uselessly pieces of paper. I'm going to get a little acetone and just wipe them down. I'll just take each one. Make sure it's all really clean and dry. And it dries so fast, it'll be ready as soon as I. Also kind of helps to get anything out of the threads, although I've used a wire brush or a wire wheel on them. Okay, last one. All right. So then, like I said, we take one of these wires and just do a couple of wraps there like that. That. And these aren't, I didn't really highly polish these. The polishing is what really can make them look nice. So I'm going to just use these three, and then on this other one I'll put so I'm just going to use these three, and then I'll use another wire for this one. But what you do is disconnect the negative here right quick. Just take it and wrap it around here. Good solid connection there. And take another wire, and let's do this one. I did polish this one, so you'll see when I pull it out, that'll look a little nicer than the rest of this will. Some parts look really nice when you do them because I can spend a lot more time polishing. But these bolts, what's nice is that I'm not doing this with everything. There's tons of bolts that are just standard on the FJ40 that I don't mess with, but these are on this bracket, and these big long bolts, like I'm sure I could find them, but they'd probably be expensive and like $8 or $9 for the damn bolt. I'm not going to do that. So, all right, so we've got the amperage set to 1.6. And right now the voltage is set to 6 volts, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to connect this up. And I'll walk you over here so you can kind of see. This is what it looks like inside the tank as we're processing. There's really nothing to see. But what you can see right now, if you look at the wires really closely, they're already totally covered in zinc. They're silvered. And this is the chromate solution. That'll turn it yellow. And then if you look down here, this is kind of where we're at on the voltage. We're pulling, even though I have the voltage set at 6, right? It only requires 0.7 volts to push 1.6 amps based on the resistance that's in the tank. So all the resistances going through the zinc and going through the water to the part, up the copper wire, back here and down this wire. So anyway, so typically you're going to want to let this sit in here, given that we probably have 3 or 4 bolts, somewhere between 8 to 12 minutes. The longer you leave it in, the more zinc that gets deposited. So the better it is at being corrosion resistant. But typically in that 10-minute range is typically when I pull it out. We put it in at about 6:30 p.m. So I'll pull it out about 6:40. And then here's the, just kind of a close-up of this bolt. We'll get the light a little bit better. But you can see, I mean, they come out really nice. And that thing was, you can see how pitted it was. It was in pretty bad shape. So they come out really nice, and this is kind of like one of those one-off bolts that I wouldn't want to have to try to go find and buy. Then it completely redoes them. So we'll wait the 10 minutes, and then I'll pull them out. I'll show you how we pull them out and then chromate them. All right, it's been about 9 minutes now. So I'm going to start the process of removing this. So I'm going to take off the negative terminal. That stops the process. I'll take this one off first. Now that's what they look like when they come out. They look pretty good. I mean, you can see where I polished the head of that more, it came out pretty shiny. So the next step is, I don't know if you can see that or not. You can, but this is a pickling tank. So this is just mostly distilled water and a little bit of nitric acid. So you just take it in there for about 3 seconds, pull it out. I think what it's doing here is just slightly etching these so that the chromate solution will stick a little bit better. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to put these in the chromate solution. Probably not the best, but then I'll come over here so you can watch it. This is kind of the process. Just kind of move it around in here, or just drop it in there. I'd actually prefer that because that one was sticking above the line. That little black thing in there is a little heater, keeps it up. It's supposed to be, I think, 110, but I keep it at 93. It's as hot as it'll get. But it works fine. And I typically just count to 60. I found that gives me what I think is probably a pretty natural color for these. You can see they're starting to turn. So zinc is really soft, and if you didn't do this chromate, the zinc would just wear off almost immediately. But when you mix it with this chromium solution, it creates zinc chromate on the surface, which is much harder, and that's actually why they do it. There are other mixtures you can use. I think they call it blue chromate, but pretty much everything on the FJ. I've never seen that on the FJ40. It's always been the yellow. So, yeah. It's looking pretty close now. So I'm going to hang that right now. I'm going to put the camera back. Kind of a wide angle view. Okay. I need hands. Distilled water. You do need to do this part a lot, because if you don't, it will get streaks of chromate as it dries. Okay, so that's kind of what you get. It looks nice, right? I mean, probably as nice as it did from the factory. And then I set those aside to dry. Clean these off. Out. Okay, that's how that one came out. Looks nice. So we'll set that aside to dry. We'll just let that dry there. So we're going to do the rest of these. I'm going to try a black chromate on this one. Actually, it probably looked really cool with the yellow, but the part's pretty big. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I'm going to do all of these next, all these little parts and pieces. So yeah, that's how you do it. It looks really cool. It allows you to kind of use the existing bolts. This was the final state. There's the bracket. I decided to go with the yellow chromate. I've seen those like that in other FJ40. So anyway, here's all the final parts after they've all been zinced and then yellow chromated. They look nice. So I guess next steps we'll start putting the new mean green alternator on. Folks, I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. I think for some of these unusual parts, I think the zinc chromating process is really useful. Have a nice day.